So, this is the next episode of Telling an Inconceivable Story, episode 14. I'm still working on an upcoming episode, but in the one that I'm going to do tonight, I thought I'd talk a little bit more about Bobby's mom. When I first met Bobby, I met his mother, and I knew she had dementia. And when I met her, it was, of course, obvious that she has, I would say, moderate dementia. She gets confused and she repeats herself, but she's absolutely charming and she's full of spunk. She really is the sweetest woman. Me and her get along actually pretty good. She has really pretty hair, and you can tell that she is a little sad. When I first met her, I just figured most of that was because she was living with Bobby and no longer living in her home. After I moved in with him, she wanted to get to know me, and I, of course, wanted to get to know her. And she told me how there was 12 sisters and brothers. She was raised by her dad. Her mom died when she was young. And at the time, she wasn't like the only one of her family to still be living. And I know that even now, after a whole year of being with Bobby in his home, she's still not the only one that is still alive, but most of them have passed. His mom is really talkative. She loves telling stories about her sisters and brothers and their nicknames and why she calls them a certain thing. And she said her dad was a hard worker and had a good job, and he employed a woman that took care of the kids and actually had a place on the property for her. She would tell stories about her horse that she had and the farm and how she would drive his car when he was sleeping, and she would drive it like on the field and around the barn and stuff because she wasn't old enough to be out on the road, and he would have tanned her hide if he had known she was driving. She told me that she used to smoke, and that when she was young, she smoked, but not a lot, I don't think, but her dad didn't know it. She was married to a man, Bobby's dad, and she had another son too. But they divorced and he left. And she remarried another man. And she talks about her kids, her boys, and her youngest son passed away. a few years ago. I think she always knew something was wrong with Bobby, but she just kind of chalked it up to the fact that should have been closer maybe to him. She said he was a hard worker and that he had always been one to kind of do his own thing. She has a grandson by her son that passed, and she has a granddaughter by Bobby. But I think the fact that Bobby divorced his first wife and there was a lot of distance and Bobby didn't see his daughter the way he probably could have. I think his mom still kind of pines over that, and she feels sorry for Bobby. She'll tell the stories of when she used to work at Krispy Kreme, and she'll tell how she used to work for the school system, and she loves telling the stories of how she would get to the school really early to take care of the kids before school started and make sure they had breakfast, and if they were still sleepy they could lay their heads down and she would make sure they were okay. I think she really enjoyed working for the school system. She showed me how she got this coin kind of thing for her service with the school system. And over this year, I've even talked to somebody that remembered her from school. And they said she was spunky then and had beautiful hair as well. It really hurt her when she found out about her home. And I think she was really upset that Bobby had allowed somebody to live there and that they had destroyed her home as what she remembered it to be. I'm not sure what condition it was truly in when she was there. And I think for a dementia patient, she may have been confused as to what it really looked like. When I first moved in with Bobby, she was, I think, so happy to have someone else in the house that was willing to chat with her. She would compliment my cooking, and she was always very accepting of having me in the home. But I remember one of the first things that I noticed was that Bobby didn't talk to her very much. Even if she just came out to talk to me, she would look over and see him working, and she would be like, oh, he's working. I better go back in here. Don't want to disturb him. And I told her, you're not a bother. You can stay in the living room. But it was like every time I would try to get Bobby to talk to her, you could tell, he just had no time for her. And I think that is why she would withdraw to her room, because they had probably had conversations before I even got here about how he had to work and he couldn't sit and talk to her. It was important for him to do his work. And after it all came out about the house, and after she started asking him repeated questions about why he did it, about how she had to understand why she wanted him to tell her why he would do that without her okay. And he couldn't answer the questions. He tried. I will say that. He did try to just tell her that he was sorry and that he had trusted somebody he shouldn't. But it wasn't enough. For somebody with dementia, it was like she couldn't accept it. There was nothing that we could do. She replayed it in her head. She even started to watch out the window, even though you really can't see. She would try to watch out the window to see if she could see her home or if she could see somebody going to her home. When we talked about nursing home care, she, I think she was pretty eager to go. She'd already been to a nursing home before, and I think she wanted to get out of her room and out of this house. I think talking and communicating with people was a real high point for going to the nursing home for her. And I can understand that. I told Bobby, I said, I don't know why you thought bringing her from her home and putting her in a room and feeding her and giving her medicine was going to be a great life for somebody that wanted to talk. I said, I get it that you're not very talkative, and I get it that you have some problems, but she can't really go very far. She's in a wheelchair, and she can go to the bathroom, but she needs help with her hygiene and a shower and keeping her bed done. And being in a room with a TV is okay for some people. But no communication, no chance at visiting. It just keeps her like a prisoner in a room that she can't get out of. I said, even when she would come into the living room, she would come and see me and talk to me. But it was like she was very limited. And you could tell that she was worried how you felt. And I just saw her decline so rapidly after the news about her home. She would sit in a dark room and cry and worry. And she was just inconsolable. And her blood pressure, when I met Bobby, her blood pressure was horrible. And I told him, and I told Bobby, it was extremely high. You have to take her to a cardiologist and have her checked out. But unfortunately, they felt like we'll just give her more medication for her high blood pressure and then she'll be okay. But after the news of her home and after she became so distraught, her blood pressure would shoot up. And she, I think, with her nerves, just made it even worse. She would throw up every now and then and be sick at her stomach. And I think a lot of it was she was so torn up and inconsolable that she just couldn't stomach not being able to make sense of it all. When we finally got her in a nursing home, I tried to get her on Medicaid. And then the next thing I know, we were finding out about the other accounts. I was finding out about the accounts that she had. And now that I have tried to make sense of everything that she really does have, she's in a good place. She's in a memory care unit. I've seen the place and seen her room, and she's just, I won't say living her best life, but she's very happy because she has people that she can talk to and she can move around the unit. And I think it's good for her. I think she's in a good place. And I think it's good for her to have people around her that she can communicate with. And she has 24/7 care. And she definitely needed that because I wasn't always at Bobby's. And being he doesn't talk to her very much, and he would get ready to go to bed and he would go in his room and she would basically have to fend for herself. I feel like it's the best thing for her. She didn't ever need to be alone. So I'm going to stop here for tonight. Thank you for listening. And please, if you have any comments, it's welcome. And I will try to do my best to get back and answer them. Thank you.